Imagine giving a single IT technician just 2 hours,
Okay.
right? Just 2 hours. How many totally dead, like corrupted computers do you think they could completely rebuild from scratch in that time?
Oh, man. One, maybe two if they're, highly caffeinated and everything goes perfectly.
Right, exactly. But today, we're looking at a system that allowed one single person to rebuild 60 machines in that exact time frame.
Wow, 60.
Yeah, 60. That is roughly, what, 2 minutes of human labor per computer. So, welcome to today's deep dive. We are exploring the evolution of IT disaster recovery and endpoint automation, focusing on a global platform called Swimmage.
Which is a fascinating platform to dig into.
It really is. And our mission today is to understand how zero-touch automation is radically changing how organizations handle, well, everything, from routine laptop crashes to massive ransomware attacks, and what this means for the future of business continuity.
It is a staggering leap in capability. I mean, we aren't just talking about making the traditional IT help desk slightly more efficient or, shaving a few minutes off of wait time.
Right.
This is a fundamental philosophical shift in how we build networks entirely. We are moving toward concepts like zero trust and self-healing infrastructure.
Still feeling.
Yeah, exactly, where the devices you rely on every day are designed to cure their own illnesses without human intervention.
Which is crazy when you think about it,
Yeah.
because we have optimized almost every other part of the business world. But when a laptop dies, we are still completely reliant on the equivalent of taking our car to a physical mechanic.
Yeah, it's very manual.
Right. You put in a ticket, you wait in a queue, your productivity grinds to an absolute halt, and you just have no idea when you'll get your digital life back.
Yeah.
For decades, that massive productivity black hole has just been the accepted cost of doing business.
It has. And the shift to remote work only magnified that problem.
Absolutely.
Because you can't just walk a broken laptop down the hall to the IT department anymore. I mean, if an employee is working from a home office 3 states away, a corrupted operating system used to mean shipping a physical laptop back and forth through the mail,
Which takes days.
resulting in days of lost work. But the platform we are analyzing today has spent 30 years building out a completely different approach.
30 years. That's a long time in tech.
It is. They operate in over 85 countries now, and they've secured over 1 million devices by just completely removing the physical desk visit from the equation.
And the scale of what they are achieving is wild. I mean, we mentioned that 60 computers in 2 hours statistic earlier,
Right.
which came from an IT director at a national nonprofit. But there's also a case in the source materials where a chief technology officer at a federal agency used this automated approach to replace close to 5,000 PCs in just 3 months.
That's incredible.
They're offering fully automated operating system repair with zero data loss. And they claim it takes under 30 minutes, sometimes under 15 minutes.
And that speed, the speed is the metric that changes the economic equation here. Going from days of downtime to 15 minutes means you are no longer measuring an IT failure in lost business days. You are measuring it in, like, coffee breaks.
Okay, let's unpack this.
Yeah.
Because my brain is struggling a bit with the mechanics of those
For
numbers.
sure.
Traditionally, like we said, fixing a computer is like taking your car to the shop. They keep it, they tinker with it, you take the bus. What you were describing with this zero-touch system is more like a Formula One pit crew.
I like that analogy.
It's like they're swapping out your entire engine while you were still driving on the track. But I have to push back here.
Go for it.
How is a complete 15 to 30-minute operating system rebuild actually possible without an IT technician physically touching the machine? And more importantly, how do they do that without wiping out all of the user's hard work, like their files and their preferences?
Well, to understand the how, you really have to look at the difference between manual labor and scalable orchestration. Historically, an IT technician diagnoses the issue, moves the files to a backup drive, formats the computer, reinstalls Windows, puts the files back, sets up the security software.
Well, it's a whole ordeal.
Right. It is entirely linear and manual. What Swimmage essentially did was take the brain and the expertise of that IT technician and engineered it into a localized, automated software process.
So it's basically a virtual technician.
Exactly. It performs all of those exact same steps, but it does them simultaneously across thousands of machines at machine speed.
So instead of one guy running around with a USB stick, the expertise is just baked into the machine itself.
Exactly. The system operates on a specific 3-step automated workflow. It's detect, decide, and deploy.
Let's get under the hood of that. How does the detect phase actually work? I mean, how does a computer know it's sick before I even have to call someone?
It uses continuous monitoring for policy-triggered events. But, and this is key, it's not just looking for a static list of known viruses. The AI-driven workflows are actually analyzing behavioral anomalies.
Behavioral anomalies. What does that look like in practice?
For example, if a core operating system file suddenly changes its size, or if a registry key that governs network access is suddenly modified.
Oh, I see.
The system detects that the machine has drifted from its healthy baseline state.
So it's basically constantly checking its own vital signs.
Right. And once it detects that anomaly, it moves to the second phase, decide. The AI evaluates the severity of the problem. Like, is this just a missing driver that needs a quick patch, or is the entire operating system deeply corrupted?
It diagnoses the illness.
It figures out the exact prescription needed to get that specific machine back to a healthy state, and then it hits deploy.
The third step.
Yep. The system automatically executes the rebuild, restores the applications, and locks down the security protocols.
Okay, but what if the computer is totally offline?
The offline scenario.
Yeah. Let's say I'm working from, I don't know, a remote cabin in the woods.
Yeah.
My Wi-Fi drops, and right at that moment, my operating system completely crashes. The materials claim this system works independently of a network, that it functions offline or over incredibly slow VPNs.
It does.
But if the operating system is dead and the internet is down, how does a computer pull off a 30-minute self-rebuild? It has to download this stuff, right?
This is arguably the most critical technical differentiator in their architecture. They don't rely on the cloud to rescue a dead machine.
Wait, really?
No. Instead, they use a localized offline deployment kit. So think of the hard drive on your computer.
Okay.
Normally, Windows or Mac OS takes up that space. What this system does is carve out a highly secure, hidden partition on that drive. It's a space the normal operating system doesn't even know exists and can't even touch.
Sneaky.
Very. All the necessary files, the fresh operating system image, the security configurations, the instructions, they're all embedded directly into that hidden partition.
Oh, wow. It's literally a digital go bag.
That's exactly what it is.
Or like a localized first aid kit built right into the computer's DNA. It doesn't need to call a doctor over the internet because the surgeon is already living inside the house, just waiting in the basement.
That is a brilliant way to visualize it, yeah. When the computer's main operating system crashes, the hardware essentially bypasses it entirely. It boots up from that hidden partition your go bag and launches a pre-boot environment.
Because it's already there.
Exactly. Because the deployment kit is already sitting there locally on the drive, it doesn't need to download a massive 10-gigabyte operating system file over your slow cabin Wi-Fi connection. It has everything it needs to perform surgery on itself right then and there.
But wait, if it's burning down the operating system to rebuild it, what happens to my data? What happens to the presentation I was working on right before it crashed? Is that just gone?
No, not at all. That is handled simultaneously. Before it overwrites the corrupted operating system, the localized workflow securely encrypts and backs up the user's data, their profiles, and their personalized settings.
Within that hidden partition.
Exactly. And crucially, the data never leaves the device. It moves it to a safe space, rebuilds the fresh engine around it, and then puts the data right back where it belongs.
Oh, wow.
So when you log back in 15 minutes later, your desktop wallpaper is the same, your files are right there, but the underlying machinery is brand new and completely healthy.
Okay, I love the digital go bag concept, but I need to push back on the security implications of this offline piece.
Here.
If the computer is completely disconnected from the corporate network and it's doing this autonomous surgery in the woods, how does it know what security protocols or company policies it's supposed to enforce when it wakes back up?
That's a great point.
Right. If it can't talk to the main IT server, how does an offline machine guarantee it's compliant?
What's fascinating here is how they maintain what they call a chain of trust within a zero-trust architecture.
Okay, actually, explain zero trust for a second, because that's a buzzword that gets thrown around a lot.
No, it does. So traditional security is like a castle with a moat. Once you're past the moat, you can just run wild inside the castle. Zero trust assumes the moat has already been breached.
Trust no one.
Right. It's like having a heavily armed bouncer at every single interior door inside the building. You have to prove who you are every time you try to move from the hallway to the kitchen.
Okay, so trust no one, verify everything.
Exactly. Now apply that to the digital go bag. That hidden partition doesn't just hold the operating system files. It holds deeply embedded compliance configurations.
So it knows the rules even when offline.
Yes. It aligns with major rigorous frameworks. It enforces SOC2, which governs customer data privacy. It enforces iPay, which strictly protects healthcare and medical records. And it aligns with FIPS, which dictates government-grade cryptographic standards.
So the bouncer is locked inside the go bag.
Yes, the bouncer travels with the laptop. Even offline, the deployment kit acts as that internal bouncer. The newly rebuilt machine isn't allowed to fully wake up, and it certainly isn't allowed to reconnect to the corporate network until it mathematically proves it meets all of those strict health and compliance requirements.
It enforces the law locally.
It does. And when you look at a global workforce spread across 85 countries, you can see why this offline capability is the holy grail. You cannot rely on an employee having a perfect corporate network connection when disaster strikes. The machine has to be able to heal itself and secure itself in total isolation.
Okay, so it can flawlessly handle a routine glitch or, a corrupted file for a remote worker. That's amazing. But let's escalate the scenario.
Let's do it.
Let's move from everyday IT annoyances into the absolute, high-stakes, DEFCON 1 world of cybersecurity. If this system can independently rebuild a machine, what happens when it faces a catastrophic malicious threat? Let's talk about ransomware.
Yeah. This is where you see the ultimate stress test of an endpoint management system. And the global context we are dealing with is incredibly grim.
It really is.
When you look at the current landscape, ransomware attacks are costing the global economy over $6 trillion annually.
$6 trillion. I mean, that is an almost unfathomable amount of money.
It's massive.
That represents hospitals shutting down, supply chains grinding to a halt, and massive corporations being brought to their knees because their screens are locked and someone is demanding payment in crypto. So how does this platform handle a threat of that magnitude?
Well, they utilize a specific add-in called Swimmage Rapid Recovery EPM, and the core of this defense relies on an integration with a company called Transition, which provides what is known as point-in-time recovery.
Okay, point-in-time recovery. What does that actually mean in this context?
It means taking a microscopic, continuous snapshot of the system's state. So deep backups of the data, the user profiles, and the application settings. Now think about how ransomware actually works.
Right, it sneaks in.
It infiltrates the system, and then it aggressively encrypts your files so you can't read them. But it also embeds persistence mechanisms deep in the operating system registry, making sure that even if you try to delete the virus, it just reinstalls itself.
It digs its claws in deep.
Deeply. Traditional antivirus tries to find those claws and pull them out one by one, which is incredibly difficult and honestly often fails.
Because it just keeps coming back.
Right. Swimmage Rapid Recovery takes a completely different approach. When the AI detects the behavioral anomaly of ransomware attempting to encrypt files, it immediately isolates the machine.
Cuts it off from the network.
Completely. And then it triggers that exact same zero-touch rebuild we just discussed. But the goal here isn't just fixing a glitch. The goal is to completely eliminate the malware at the root level.
Because it's not trying to pull the claws out. It's literally burning the entire infected operating system to the ground and building a fresh one from scratch.
Exactly. It burns the house down. It destroys the corrupted operating system, completely wiping out all of those deep-seated persistence mechanisms. Then it reaches into that secure, hidden partition, grabs a brand new, identical house, and builds it in its place.
Wow.
And because it has that point-in-time backup from Transition, a snapshot taken mere seconds before the ransomware struck it, it restores the clean data into the clean house. The operating system, the apps, the settings, and the unencrypted data are restored, usually within an hour.
That is incredible. I mean, Kyle Haraldson, the CEO of Swimmage, framed the states of this perfectly when he pointed out that companies are routinely forced to pay thousands or millions of dollars in ransom demands, simply because they have absolutely no other way to recover their system.
Yeah, they're trapped.
Right. But with this rapid recovery process, the systems are rebuilt to full functionality within an hour. All traces of malware are eradicated, the data is back, and most importantly, business interruption is reduced to almost zero, which saves millions.
It is a phenomenal capability. I mean, the entire business model of a ransomware syndicate relies on leverage. They hold your operational capacity hostage.
Yeah, they have all the power.
Exactly. Yeah. The idea that you can completely strip away an attacker's leverage by simply having an automated, localized reset button, it changes the dynamic of cyber extortion from a catastrophe to just a temporary inconvenience.
Here's where it gets really interesting, though. I have to play devil's advocate and challenge this.
Bring it on.
If a company can just hit a magical undo button, burn the house down, and rebuild a totally infected, encrypted system in under an hour with zero data loss.
Mhm.
Doesn't that mean ransomware is essentially a solved problem? Like, if this technology exists right now, why isn't this the absolute end of cyber extortion? Why is anyone on Earth still paying a $6 trillion ransom bill?
This raises an important question, and it really gets to the heart of how the cybersecurity industry actually functions. There is a vital caveat to everything we've discussed today. Swimmage Rapid Recovery is fundamentally designed to be preemptively installed.
Mhm.
It is not a magical cure you can purchase and apply after the hackers have locked your screens.
So you can't try to buy the fire insurance after the living room is already engulfed in flames.
Precisely. And this forces us to think critically about the difference between proactive and reactive cybersecurity. The reason ransomware is still a $6 trillion global crisis is that the vast majority of organizations are still operating reactively.
They're waiting for the attack.
Yeah, they spend their budgets trying to build taller and taller walls around their networks to keep the bad guys out. But they wait for the breach to actually happen before they start figuring out how they're going to recover from it.
Which by then is way too late because the hackers have already locked the doors from the inside.
Exactly. This technology requires a complete paradigm shift. It requires an organization to invest in and deploy this zero-trust automated infrastructure long before an attack ever occurs. Remember that localized hidden partition we talked about? The digital go bag?
Right, the surgeon in the basement.
Yes. If that deployment kit isn't already secretly resting on the hard drive before the ransomware strikes, the machine has no way to trigger the offline rebuild. You have to seed the QL inside the host before the infection arrives.
That makes total sense. I mean,
Yeah.
it is an incredibly powerful safety net, but you have to actually have the foresight to string the net up before you decide to walk the tightrope.
And that foresight is the core of modern resilience. It requires IT leaders to recognize that in today's threat landscape, a breach isn't a possibility, it is an inevitability.
It's going to happen.
If a nation-state hacker or a sophisticated syndicate wants into your network, they will eventually find a way in. The security strategy can't just be about prevention anymore.
Right.
The true paradigm shift is accepting that a breach will happen and making that breach completely irrelevant by mastering the art of the instant automated undo button.
So what does this all mean? We have covered a massive amount of ground today, zooming from the daily, mundane annoyance of a frozen laptop all the way up to the existential multi-million-dollar threat of global ransomware syndicates.
It's a huge spectrum.
It is. And whether you are a remote worker sitting in a home office who just wants a reliable laptop that doesn't force you to spend your entire Tuesday on hold with tech support,
Right.
or you are an InfoSec manager lying awake at night, agonizing over how to protect sensitive healthcare data under HIPAA regulations. The core takeaway seems to be exactly the same. The era of waiting days for computer repairs, whether from a glitch or an attack, is ending.
It really is. The technology is moving rapidly toward total endpoint control and instant business continuity. The baseline expectation for how hardware should function is fundamentally shifting.
Right. We no longer have to just passively accept the downtime as a cost of doing business.
If we connect this to the bigger picture, deeply understanding these automated systems empowers organizations to completely change their operational mindset. You can stop operating from a posture of fearing data loss, fearing an attack, fearing a hardware crash, and start operating from a place where you simply demand zero downtime.
Demand it, yeah.
You shift from treating your IT department as a manual, reactive repair shop to treating it as a resilient, automated utility that just quietly works in the background.
It is a massive evolution in how we interact with our machines. And that actually leaves me with a final, slightly provocative thought for you to mull over.
Oh,
Yeah, we spent a lot of time today discussing how these AI workflows and behavioral policies detect anomalies and trigger these incredibly complex rebuilds completely automatically.
right.
If our everyday devices can now detect their own illnesses, autonomously wipe themselves completely clean to destroy an infection, and rebuild their entire operating systems and personalized data from scratch without a single human finger ever touching a keyboard.
It's wild to think about.
It really is. Where exactly is the line between an IT management software tool and a fully autonomous, self-healing organism? Will future generations even know what an IT help desk is? Or will our computers just quietly cure their own digital diseases while we go grab a cup of coffee? Because honestly, letting the machine perform its own surgery while I get a latte sounds a whole lot better than staring helplessly at that agonizing blue screen of death.